year in and year out, this is one of the, if not the toughest, non-graded stake in the country.
It's definitely my favorite of the year, and I think a lot of handicappers would agree. The typical starting point of the Del Mar meet on the turf for the 3-year-olds usually attracts a nice big field here. We got 10 in this instant. They're going to go a mile here for 100,000, but feels like an even better race than that purse.
Your morning line favorite, Ironman Cal, second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Coming out, his first start of the year was in the Grade 1 American Turf at Churchill Downs. But Calicat, we were taking a look. Juan Hernandez in the irons of Calicat in the Snow Chief Stakes back on the 24th of May. Juan Hernandez leads just about each and every meet here in Southern California anymore, although Antonio Fresu took home the title in the recently concluded Santa Anita meet. He is going to be as tough as they come this summer.
And Sadler and Horonis, I think I lost track of how many Pacific Classics they won. I believe it's 4, punctuated by Flightlight and Accelerate, another Breeders' Cup Classic champ. But Sadler and Horonis, they point to this meeting.
And there's a look at the morning line, Ironman Cal. Now, it was kind of a strange backtrack because Calicat's going to be ridden by Vincent Chemino as Juan Hernandez is going to opt for Artisla for Jeff Mullins. And Artisla, very talented runner. This colt by Catalina Cruiser, who was pretty good out here in Southern California for Sadler back in the day.
Yeah, there's another one for our runners. Look, the 5 got rank last time, and sometimes when you're stretch out and distance, they got a little headstrong, and that was not the place to be. They were in a threatening position, turning for home. They were 3rd at this point, but just even out a little bit. There's going to be some common rivals in this race. Bodhisattva and Canto are going to pass this horse, but Artislas, when you go back to to Eddie Logan, this was 3 starts ago. This was a smart win. This is going to be a much tougher field because FOMO Joe was in there, hard trying second, but you're going to have to face a lot better than that horse. One of my big angles on the turf at Del Mar, Mike, is I feel, and you could disagree with this, is as we see Juan Hernandez, who's the early favorite to win this meeting, turf and or dirt. He's riding for all the right clients. He's going to be on those Baffert Cadillacs you'd have to imagine in the maiden special weight ranks. But one thing on the turf at Del Mar, I feel like it's much easier to close ground than it is at Santa Anita on the turf. I feel like Santa Anita is much more conducive to going gate to wire. Those wide trips off the turn at Santa Anita don't work very well, but at Del Mar, I think you have a wider stretch. You can go wider. They have the infield chute, which adds kind of like a turn and a half, but the closers that were running out of time at Santa Anita, I'm going to upgrade going to Del Mar, and then the loose pace setters at Santa Anita, I'm going to downgrade when they go to a more competitive pace at Del Mar.
So he's got 3 riding titles, the last 3, and this is what he's done the last 5 years. So he won the riding title in 22, 23, and 24. Can he do it a 4th consecutive year in 2025? We shall see.
I think that he's a big favorite. You're going to have your Rispolese. I think Barrios is set up, speaking of those turf closing finishes. I think
Fresu. The only problem with Fresu is that this happens when you lead a meet. All those horses you won with are out of condition. They're all a condition up. So you come back with them, they all got to keep on rolling, which doesn't always happen. But I think anything can happen this summer. Yes, Juan Hernandez is the favorite to win the riding title. I'd put him at a 8-5 favorite, not a 1-5 favorite.
Yeah, I like that. Here's Ironman Cal, who was in the juvenile turf. He got disregarded. He had the home court advantage. People say, oh, the California turf horses. This horse was almost 30-1 in the Breeders' Cup and was working lights out. We heard from the connections that, hey, this horse has never trained better. He's going to almost strike the lead. I think Henry Matisse kind of got him by a quick jump, but he was in second at long odds, and he'd already shown that he loves the Del Mar turf course. Just one race this year for Ironman Cal. It was a loaded field on Derby Day. He ran evenly through the stretch to beat 4 lengths to Zulu Kingdom, but the number 3, the class of the field.
And that is why he is installed as such a heavy favorite in a tough race. And we are going to have live coverage every day on site at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. We're flying Matt Bernier and Joe Talamo out for opening day. Scott Hazelton, he actually lives in California. I don't know if you knew that. Christina Blacker, Simon Bray, and Todd Schrupp will be there. I'll be in studio. I'm going to be playing with all the toys here throughout those 3 days of coverage, as you will as well.
I can't wait to
I don't know who's got the better shift because you get Saratoga on Friday leading into opening day, and I don't really get much Saratoga because I'm 3 to 7. But I get to hang out and just bet Saratoga without worrying about being on the air.